KFWB NewsTalk 980. Hi, this is Living the E Life. I'm Jeff Levy, your electronic lifestyle coach. Last 15 years, I've studied the technology and all its complexities, and I'll make it all simple for you. This is not a geek gadget show. It's about how gadgets intersect with your life and how to make them work for you. In the studio is a dear friend who has worked around radio for a long time. His name is Tim Greenwood. Hello, Tim.
Thanks, Jeff.
Welcome to the show. You were at CES.
That's right.
One of my dear friends who reported back to me on what was going on. And I want to talk about a couple of products, and I want to talk about your main thing that you're doing with your live videography.
Okay.
So let's start with, what do you think was the hot product at the show that we're going to be able to buy someday soon?
Well, this is what was so cool, Jeff, was Consumer Electronics Show was the launch of my site, eTECHTim.com, and we took off with a tangent very much like yours to make this stuff make sense for the humans.
Hey, get your own tangent, will you?
And what we did was we ran into a guy who was fantastic, and his company is called Smartfish, and he has made a wireless mouse that comes on a pivot. It wobbles. And what it does is it takes the stress off of your wrist and off of your shoulder as you're using it. It's been a wireless mouse for a while from his company at getsmartfish.com. And what he did is he sold it to Apple. So this is a scoop for your show, Jeff, that it's going to come out as a Bluetooth wireless so that it will be available on the Apple site, but it's available now for a couple bucks less at getsmartfish.com.
Nice. Let's bring Dr. Muldaur in, our spinal surgeon and best friend. Todd, how is something like that going to help us avoid all these problems people are starting to have with their wrists? Carpal tunnel, your tunnel, my tunnel, all that.
I think that the majority of scientists who have looked at the problem believe that repetitive stress injuries occur when your body can't function in its normal range of motion, when you're restricted to certain planes of motion or certain activities that don't let the joints function normally. And by having a pivot on the mouse, it would allow your wrist to find its most comfortable position as opposed to having to be totally rotated in one direction or the other. The term is pronation at the wrist, which is a position that some people find comfortable and some people don't. And by allowing the wrist to pivot and the elbow to pivot, it allows your joints to find what they're comfortable at and not have to be stuck in one plane.
Makes sense. Tim, did you actually get a hands-on with it?
I did, and it was amazing because at first I thought because it's wobbling that when you press the button, it's going to press too far and you won't be able to click it. But actually it wobbled nicely, and you do feel that when you push your hand away, your hand goes down at an angle. When you pull it back, it comes back, and you don't really think about that until the mouse stops fighting you like theirs does, and it's like, oh, this feels good.
When do you expect to see it?
It's actually available now from their website. They said it'd be available on the Apple site as a Bluetooth after March.
After March. I wonder if it'll work on a PC.
It does. It's a USB power. It's a USB connecting mouse, and it runs either now as a normal wireless device, or they're making it a Bluetooth for functioning with Apple.
Very nice. And the cost?
I think it's $49.
That's unusually cheap for a Apple mouse.
It is, and it's patented, and they did take an award at the Consumer Electronics Show for it.
Nice. Good for them. Let's bring Neil Ticktin on board, who's the publisher of MacTech magazine. Tim was talking about an interesting mouse that Apple bought. What's it called, Tim?
It's called the Whirl mouse. It's from getsmartfish.com.
And, Neil, what it does, and we had Dr. Muldaur give us the mechanics of it, it swivels and wobbles as you move your hand forward and backward, so it takes the stress and pressure off the parts of your lower arm and your hand.
Yeah, and it sounds, as somebody that spends a fair amount of time on a computer, it's really nice to see some of these more ergonomic methodologies, whether it's keyboard or mice, come around. And I'm looking forward to having my hands on a Whirl and playing with it a little bit more and seeing whether it makes sense for me.
Well, what surprises me is they're selling it for $49.95. All right, Neil, we got to take a break. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll have some more conversation with Tim and Neil. We'll take a phone call from Artesia. You're listening to Livin the E Life right here on KFWB NewsTalk 980. So we're back with Tim.
Hey, Jeff.
And Neil. Neil, give us the website again.
www.macnews.com and www.mactech.com if you're more on the tech side.
All right. Well, because of the Clipper game and some other factors beyond our control, we're very short on time. We would ask you to please join us again in a week or so we can explore this further.
Sounds good, Jeff.
Neil Ticktin, what a sweet guy. Thank you so much. Best to your family.
Thanks, Jeff. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Good to see you, Neil.
So, Tim, there you have it. Would you imagine an iPad 2 and an iPad 3 in 1 year? It could happen.
It has happened in the Apple line. There's a Apple information site called everymac.com. It's kind of like the Kelley Blue Book of Apple's.
Right.
And you can
seen it.
see how long the certain computers have been in production. And sometimes they are barely separated by a year. I'm trying to imagine a major change that is different from iPad to next iPad.
Well, the rumor has been that Apple may come out with a 7-inch iPad.
Okay, now that would be smart. Now you have a different
iPad
configuration.
2 is the same size as the current iPad, although it's supposed to be thinner and lighter. But
Wow.
it seems to me that when you've sold 8 million units, how do the other people play catch-up, especially when you cut their legs out from under them by saying, wait, don't go buy that. The iPad 2 will be here shortly. Absolutely brilliant.
Managing a leadership position.
Oh, Tim, I don't know what to say. You and your wife came all the way down here. Todd came down with his friend.
It's a full house.
And we're out of time. So will you join us again, either by phone or in person?
I'd be
'Cause
proud
we got to
to.
talk about videography.
We do.
And it's nice to hear your voice on the air.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, thanks for joining us. Next week, 5 o'clock Sunday, Livin the E life with Jeff Levy. This is KFWB News Talk 980.